Is there a motion to approve the gospel? Some residents love the events that we do here at Dolton Township. And prior to me, y'all have always had events. So I don't understand why it's a problem now.
Be a good leader, bring our peace to the forefront. So not just us, but the residents and everybody else in America know how the money is being spent.
Tiffany Henyard, once a rising leader in Dolton, Illinois, now faces a whirlwind of allegations involving theft, fraud, and corruption. The charges claim she misused a vast amount of public funds for personal gain, tarnishing her once promising political career and igniting widespread controversy surrounding her actions as mayor. You said,
Charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No, God.
This isn't the first time Henyard has faced controversy, but it could be the breaking point. Frustrated by her reckless spending, residents are taking action. They've decided to halt her unlawful financial activities, determined to bring her misdeeds to light and reveal the truth. You said,
safeguards in place to regulate what's spent on the credit card.
I do not want a credit card. I do not deal with money.
what's really happening behind the scenes? You won't believe the revelations we've uncovered. Dolton's embattled mayor, Tiffany Henyard, publicly addressed the city's financial turmoil, attributing the struggles to a halt in revenue. She even mentioned the cancellation of bingo nights and ice cream socials for seniors as unfortunate consequences. However, the truth runs much deeper than she suggests. While Henyard blames the city's financial freeze for these inconveniences, the reality is far more alarming. Behind the scenes, the freeze on Dolton's funds stems from more sinister issues. The public only sees a fraction of the truth, and the full story is much more troubling than Henyard admits. You said,
the day vendors are not being paid. Board approved it. The vendors are not being
under Tiffany Henyard's leadership, Dolton has descended into financial disarray, with vital services overlooked as she indulges in extravagant personal spending. Frustrated residents have finally taken action, freezing her illegal expenditures and demanding transparency. But what's truly happening behind the scenes? Let's take a closer look at how Henyard has been using Dolton's funds. From high-end hotels to secret getaways, Henyard has spared no cost in ensuring her comfort, leaving taxpayers furious. One of the most startling examples is the costly renovation of her home, which has left many wondering where their tax dollars are actually going. The issue doesn't stop there. For months, Henyard's administration has been accused of hiding financial records, in clear violation of state transparency laws. Even after being ordered by the Illinois Attorney General's office to release these documents, Henyard and her allies defied the directive, raising suspicions of deeper corruption. However, the truth began to unravel when WGN, a major news outlet, took the matter to court, filing a lawsuit in Cook County Circuit Court to gain access to the financial records. Eventually, a judge ordered Dolton to release dozens of documents, including credit card statements that reveal a pattern of lavish and irresponsible spending. Between July and November 2023, Henyard and her administration racked up tens of thousands of dollars in expenses, ranging from first-class flights to luxurious hotels, upscale restaurants, and personal shopping trips. One of the most shocking examples is a trip to Austin, Texas, where Henyard, her top aide Keith Freeman, and 3 other township officials spent an outrageous amount of taxpayer money on high-end accommodations, expensive meals, and even sporting apparel. The spree continued with large purchases at Walmart, Target, and Amazon, including expenses on services like Uber Eats and payments for Henyard's personal photographer. This rampant spending has incited public outrage. As an elected official, Henyard's foremost responsibility is to serve the community, not to indulge in extravagance at its expense. What has made this scandal even worse is the apparent effort to conceal it. When she's not drawing from township accounts, reports suggest Henyard is using charitable funds, further shaking the trust of Dolton's citizens. You said,
on this national platform, and you said you didn't know anything about a foundation. But you forget that I was in certain rooms when certain things happened. And the reason I don't support you is because you were not honest.
the reason I can't support you is because you weren't truthful. Charity work should be about helping others, but in Tiffany Henyard's case, it's become another avenue for exploitation. Let's examine her so-called charity, a cancer foundation that somehow forgot to file its financial records. How does one overlook something so crucial? Tiffany Henyard's charity, the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, has been at the center of controversy, especially regarding its financial transparency and legitimacy. Supposedly created to assist cancer patients, the foundation is now under suspicion, with many questioning where the money is really going. The charity was launched in late 2022 and received substantial funding from the Township Board, which Henyard oversees herself. This large sum raised eyebrows, especially given that the foundation managed to raise only a minimal amount from other sources. This significant gap between the foundation's initial funding and its lack of additional fundraising has led to widespread concerns about the charity's operations. These concerns aren't just baseless accusations. They are backed by evidence and the voices of outraged residents. While Henyard has been living in luxury, the people of Dolton have suffered as they face shortages in essential services. Now, the residents have had enough and they're fighting back. They have successfully frozen Henyard's excessive spending, at least for now. Legally, they have taken steps to stop her access to town funds until a thorough audit is conducted. Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza also stepped in, withholding tens of thousands of dollars from Dolton. Mendoza declared that until the necessary financial reports are filed and transparency is shown, the town won't receive any further funding. She highlighted Dolton's lack of financial accountability, freezing significant amounts of money based on a report that uncovered questionable spending practices under Henyard's leadership. Mendoza stressed that this action is to protect Dolton's residents who have been disrespected by Henyard's conduct. The village trustees are now pushing the finance department to comply with the comptroller's requirements. You said,
Things as the supervisor, there will be no comments, there won't be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on in Thornton Township.
Henyard called a special meeting in response to various ordinances enacted by the village's board, notably one concerning event spending management. She asserts that after the passage of this ordinance, township services experienced an abrupt and unexpected halt, which prompted her to address the issue urgently. You said,
Behold.
They was not able to get certain services, whether it was gift cards for a big bingo. Monday, the staff was not able to even buy ice cream.
Henyard initially believed that the convening of a special meeting was merely a tactic to obstruct her actions, but it soon became apparent that it was a strategic maneuver aimed at effectively stalling the services within Thornton Township. She contends, however, that this purported freeze is fundamentally a necessary measure to curtail her perceived reckless expenditure and to safeguard the future financial stability of the town. Such a decisive intervention could potentially catalyze the much-needed reforms in Dolton. While Henyard reveled in a life of opulence, the residents of Dolton were confronted with increasingly severe hardships. Essential public services faced severe reductions, with the Dolton Fire Department among those most adversely affected. Firefighters have been outspoken regarding the missing funds that were earmarked for their retirement and insurance benefits. Despite numerous appeals for transparency, Henyard's administration has been notably uncooperative and opaque. Investigative reports by WGN have unearthed troubling revelations that firefighters have been operating without adequate insurance, and numerous insurance claims were denied due to the village's failure to remit necessary premiums. These individuals, who risk their lives on a daily basis, have been left without essential healthcare coverage for their families. The situation was exacerbated by the discovery that significant sums intended for retirement benefits have also vanished. Adam Faraj, president of Dolton IFF Local 3766, has emerged as a prominent critic of Henyard's administration, vociferously demanding accountability on behalf of the firefighters. He has condemned the village's actions as grossly unacceptable, highlighting that Dolton firefighters have not received any cost of living adjustments since 2019 and are laboring under an expired contract. This leaves them not only inadequately compensated, but also in a precarious financial position, while Henyard remains conspicuously absent in addressing these critical issues. The situation is further complicated by Henyard's lavish spending, which stands in stark contrast to the financial difficulties endured by Dolton's residents and public servants. Reports suggest that Henyard has been diverting taxpayer funds towards personal indulgences, including extravagant trips and projects. Investigations have unveiled a convoluted network of shell accounts and unauthorized expenditures, with Henyard allegedly circumventing board approvals to finance her opulent lifestyle. One particularly contentious issue is a series of events proposed by Henyard, which the Dolton Township Board of Trustees consistently rejected under a strict ordinance designed to limit unnecessary spending. Despite these rejections, Henyard proceeded with these events, provoking public discontent. She has publicly defended her actions by asserting that residents appreciate the events hosted in Dolton Township and questioned why there is opposition now that she is in charge. A notable example is the Taste of Dolton Township event held recently, where records obtained by WGN Investigates revealed that Henyard expended a staggering $30,000 for a 30-minute performance by singer Kiki Wyatt and $20,000 for a half-hour set by rapper Jay Holiday. Although these payments are substantial in their own right, the total cost of the event, including staff, equipment, and various other expenses, amounted to at least $85,000. While this figure may be lower than initially reported, it remains a significant expenditure of taxpayer funds, drawing considerable scrutiny. Trustee Gonzalez expressed his exasperation over the exorbitant spending, noting that recent events have involved excessive expenditures. The problem lies not just in the spending itself, but in Henyard's handling of it. Despite the trustees' votes against approving large expenditures for these events, the funds were nonetheless spent, often charged to credit cards. This method of expenditure directly contradicts the trustees' efforts to regulate excessive spending. Gonzalez criticized the use of credit cards for such purposes, suggesting that it appears as though expenditures that were voted against were simply reallocated to credit cards, creating a deceptive appearance of compliance. The situation has evidently spiraled out of control, with public funds being expended without proper authorization. This situation has not escaped the notice of local residents, though opinions are divided. Some, such as resident Tama Price, have highlighted the hypocrisy of the situation, suggesting that if a budget isn't passed, the same should apply to the official salaries until a budget is approved. Many share this sentiment, feeling that both the trustees and Henyard have failed in managing the township's finances responsibly. You said, the trustees have indicated that the budget is currently under review by an accountant and may be finalized soon. In a recent Township Board of Trustees meeting, the board decided to place Henyard's name on a credit card, despite her protests. This action seems intended to enhance accountability, but it has only intensified the tension between Henyard and the trustees. The core issue remains Henyard's spending habits, which have prompted serious questions about the management of public funds in Dolton Township. As the community endures financial struggles, their mayor appears to live a life of luxury, prompting demands for accountability from the trustees, residents, and potentially law enforcement. The circumstances in Dolton have transcended mere misfortune to become a spectacle of absurdity. On one hand, firefighters, who risk their lives in perilous situations, are now grappling with financial insecurity, struggling to support their families. On the other hand, the mayor seems disconnected from the harsh realities facing her constituents, indulging in luxury while the village's finances deteriorate. This stark disparity is not only unreasonable, but profoundly shocking. Despite the increasing number of allegations against Mayor Tiffany Henyard, she has managed to retain a loyal cadre of supporters, including trustee Carmen Carlile. However, as legal challenges mount and public scrutiny intensifies, Carlile's sudden change of position raises significant questions. Henyard, once enjoying near-unanimous support from the Dolton Township Board, has seen this backing erode following reports of her extravagant spending. Carlile recently broke her silence, publicly denouncing Henyard for what she perceives as unethical and inappropriate behavior. In an emailed statement to WGN, Carlile accused Henyard of exploiting her position to manipulate employees, vendors, and residents, all while maintaining a facade of success funded by taxpayer dollars. Carlile admitted that she had rarely questioned Henyard's lavish expenditures, which were charged to township taxpayers. Following this admission, Carlile and other trustees enacted new restrictions on spending for special events and tightened access to credit cards. Carlile stated that her decision to speak out was not merely for her own sake, but for others affected by what she views as Henyard's abusive leadership. She believes there are additional victims who have been retaliated against, dismissed, or deceived by Henyard, though they have yet to come forward. In response to Carlile's shift in stance, Henyard derisively referred to her as Lion Carlile during a meeting, mocking her in front of an audience. Carlile subsequently apologized for her outburst towards a resident. This ongoing situation underscores a troubling disconnect between Henyard's lavish spending and the financial distress experienced by Dolton's residents and public servants. As the community endures economic hardship and inadequate services, the mayor's extravagant lifestyle and questionable spending practices have provoked widespread outrage and demands for accountability. You said,
A lot of negative energy going on in the room, and I attempted to bring a positive perspective to the discussion, and my approach was not received well, and instead of maintaining my composure and positivity, I reacted inappropriately.
She went on to add another statement.
I ended up calling someone old and ignorant, and I also called someone a clown, which was offensive and unprofessional. I deeply regret my actions. For a long time, I was stubborn and failed to acknowledge that.
The recent apology has ignited numerous inquiries. Why did Carlile remain reticent for so long, and what has compelled her to speak out at this juncture? Historically, Carlile has been one of Henyard's most steadfast allies, consistently backing her even in the face of mounting criticism from residents and trustees regarding alleged corruption. Now, however, Carlile has positioned herself as a whistleblower, asserting that she has only recently recognized the troubling reality. Is this a genuine shift in perspective, or is it a calculated maneuver to detach herself from a deteriorating administration? Only the passage of time will provide clarity. In any event, with the imposition of the financial freeze and growing communal solidarity, it appears that Henyard's era of extravagant spending might be nearing its conclusion. Nevertheless, this represents merely the initial phase of a more extensive struggle. Investigations into Henyard's fiscal conduct are ongoing, and it is anticipated that additional dubious actions will soon surface. Henyard's track record is replete with poor financial decisions and mismanagement, and this latest scandal could very well serve as the precipice of her downfall. As long as Henyard remains in office, there exists a palpable risk that she might persist in her questionable practices. Consequently, it is imperative for the residents of Dolton to maintain their vigilance and ensure that Henyard is held accountable for her actions. The future of Dolton hinges on this commitment. The financial freeze marks merely the commencement of a broader effort. Residents must persist in their demand for an end to Henyard's corruption and for the leadership they rightfully deserve. Looking ahead, Dolton's path forward necessitates more than merely ceasing Henyard's spending. The community demands authentic leadership, transparency, and accountability, attributes conspicuously absent under her administration. For Dolton to progress, it will require substantive change, and residents must remain resolute in their pursuit of meaningful reform. That concludes this video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. You said,